This can dissipate the heat from the engine, preventing a roadside breakdown. You may get a little hot under the collar, but you could keep your fresh by preventing costly engine repair. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know. I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, I was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was gonna be a national champion, and end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know. Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push, you feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does, so safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project, and you gotta hit it every day.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now 264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Also, 888 Car Clinic is our main number, actually, at 888-227-2546. We're back in our house today. We're back from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you tuned in last week, I just don't know how we're going to follow that program, so I need your help. I mean, we had 8 guests in the house last week. We were broadcasting from the PRN studios at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the annual Charlotte Auto Fair. 7,000 vendors. I don't know how many thousand cars. 4,000, I think that's somewhere in that vicinity. But it was really a special event, and they have a couple of those events a year, and who knows, we may go back. But the bottom line, today, it's you, me, and the 888-227-2546, the phone. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Power Frame Grid Technology. Batteries with Power Frame technology have better electrical flow, cranking power, and reliability. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery and know you're getting true strength on the inside. Also, this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, this is a great, speaking of the Auto Fair and Charlotte Motor Speedway, is brought to you by K&N. The original performance air filter, of Bobby Likis, well, that too, but of NASCAR. K&N, go to knfilters.com for more information, and stay tuned for Car Clinic. This mailbag is brought to you by K&N, the world's best air filter. Brad from Tulsa writes,
Bobby, I installed a K&N intake on my 2008 Chevy Silverado a couple months ago after hearing you talk about some of the benefits. I love the kit, it sounds awesome, and I can really feel the power. So I recently was talking about the kit with my friend/mechanic. He told me I could damage some sensors because the K&N intake kit forces in too much air. Is this true?
No, Brad, it's not true. All of the sensors in the K&N intake kit are spec'd for the sensors in your Silverado's motor. The intake lowers restriction to allow the motor to breathe easier. It's not a turbocharger or supercharger that feeds additional air, known as forced in. Rest assured that the K&N intake kit and your Silverado's sensors are getting along just fine. Check out knfilters.com for all the information on intake kits and testing, as well as all the cool K&N products for your vehicle. That's knfilters.com.
O'Reilly.
Not an O'Reilly O Rewards member yet? Now you can sign up online at orewards.com. Enroll today and start earning $5 back on every $150 you spend. Visit orewards.com and become an O'Reilly O Rewards member today. It's fast, easy. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How can you improve battery performance? Make sure your next battery has Power Frame Grid technology, a more advanced kind of positive grid technology that's designed to combat the common causes of premature battery failure. Power Frame Grid technology is formed from a single sheet of precisely rolled and stamped metal. This patented manufacturing process makes the battery more resistant to corrosion. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Visit powerframe.com to find a
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Where are you going?
To kill the...
Oh, don't kill the grass too, like you did last time.
Hey, wise men make mistakes. They just don't make them twice.
What's different this time?
This time, I've got Ortho Weed Begone Max. It kills weeds down to the root, but unlike other products, it doesn't kill the grass.
Ooh, so impressive.
Well, I've done it the wrong way, so I figured I might as well try it the right way.
I'm all for that.
Kill the weeds, not the grass. Get Ortho Weed Begone Max and defend what's yours.
It straddles the line between timeless classic and modern luxury.
The grape tomato.
The ruby red in a sea of greens. The muse behind the great chef, Boyardee.
Beefaroni. Mi amore.
Oh, tomato. Are you fruit? Are you vegetable?
What is?
Groceries, essentials, signature value.
The Everyday Collection by Target.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's broadcast. I want to reach out to Shauna Batt and Scott Shannon, General Manager and Program Director for our Car Clinic affiliate in Missoula, Montana. KGVO 1290 AM. So good morning, Shauna and Scott. And if that's your neck of the wood, folks, let me hear from you at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Miss Kim, yes, Miss Kim is our, I started to say screener, but, you know, when you think of screener, and Tony, well, I want your input on this. When you think of screener, you say, well, gosh, I want to get through, but she's going to screen me. She may put me through and she may not. That's really not what that's all about. And I wouldn't say a receptionist. I would just say an associate, a team member of Car Clinic, because folks, it's just simply to take your call and put your name. And right now, I'm looking at John, and I'm South Carolina. It says any combustion vehicle, and it says use of ethanol versus gasoline. And that's all I see, because we have a very small window. It's not like she can write a book. But she'll take your call, and she'll put you in the queue. That's what we call in the queue. I never explained this on the air before. And then I will put you on the air. Just want to know, I want you to know that my choice for synthetic lubricants, bumper to bumper, and oil, including the oil for your engine, is Royal Purple. Go to royalpurple.com and check me out. Well, check Royal Purple too, but hey, we're on Royal Purple's site, and there's a royalpurpleconsumer.com, and then there's the commercial site, and then there's a racing site, and then there's an off-road site, and then it's like the oil that is used on the racetrack is made and formulated by the same oil that I use in my cars, and I recommend, and that's Royal Purple. So, to South Carolina, John, you're called in early. You're first up and first out. Good morning, sir.
So, listen, it seems to me like energy, the way we get it, comes from the sun. It comes from the sun to the plants.
Yes.
Cows eat the plants, so we eat the cows. So we could take that same plant and make ethanol out of it, whether it's kudzu or corn or whatever else. So, but then I have heard that ethanol in an internal combustion engine like we have now is hard on the engine. And what I'm trying to find out is if our farmers could produce enough carbohydrate plant material to produce us ethanol so we would not have to drill it out the ground, what would we have to do to have an engine? We take the engines we've got now and just simply burn ethanol in them, or would we have to convert them or build new engines like titanium or what?
John, where have you been? I mean, let me gosh. So let me just give a brief overview, because I hear so much information that you need to know that I want to share with you. In 1896, and I said 18.
Yes.
In 1896, Henry Ford. Now, we didn't have proper milling machines and the metallurgy. Who ever heard of metallurgy? I mean, they were just pouring molten metal and casting it, and it had porosity and holes in it, and then they'd shave the cylinders and make pistons, and bottom line, I can only imagine how, in fact, that's why the Model T was the first car that came out, because A through S models, he wouldn't allow, because they didn't meet muster. So, and because of the parts. And by the time someone would make a part that Henry Ford wanted on one of his cars, by the time they delivered it, he said, I've already changed. I don't like this. Let's do another one. Anyway, in 1896, his first car was the quadricycle. And so I guess that was like a bicycle with times two, which had four wheels and an engine. And it ran on pure ethanol in 1896. And listen to this, John. This is so, and these are facts. In 1908, Henry Ford's first car, the Model T, was America's first flex fuel car that could run on gasoline or a blend of gasoline and ethanol. And he put an adjustment on the carburetor where he could adjust the air fuel. And just for your information, it's not the ethanol. It's not the fuel that destroys engines. It's lack of lubrication or overheating or what have you. Any hydrocarbon, like the oil that we get, or any ethanol, which has, by the way, every molecule of ethanol has 35% oxygen. So if you take gasoline, let's say 90%, which is prevalent today everywhere. 97% of all the fuel, gasoline sold in the U.S. has 10% ethanol in it today. And we've had ethanol in our fuels since 1980. So for you do the math, for 30 plus years, ethanol has been in the fuel. So ethanol does not damage engines. Gasoline doesn't damage engines. It is the octane that limits the power of the engine, and that's where ethanol first shines. Well, it first shines because it's an oxygenant, and not to get over technical here, but because ethanol contains oxygen, when you put ethanol in a gasoline, it's like pouring liquid air in the gasoline, so your engine runs cleaner, and it also runs leaner because you've put air in it, liquid air. So you have to, in older cars, you had to rejet the carburetor to make the engine tune properly. Otherwise, it could run, the exhaust could run hotter. And that's where you hear a lot of lawnmower and two-cycle and folks talking about, well, that stuff makes my engine run hotter. Of course, I've not seen any proof of that, but I know that it runs leaner. So you tune the engine. So Henry Ford did this in 1908. So fast forward to the mid-'80s, and we've had ethanol in our fuels because we needed oxygenate because of clean air. So that's how this all started, is number one, ethanol. Well, actually it started because Henry Ford wanted to sell cars, and there were no gas stations except for Standard Oil, John D. Rockefeller. And so you couldn't see a gas station on every corner because we didn't have corners. I mean, we had a few roads. But you could go from John's farmhouse in South Carolina to Bobby's farmhouse in Alabama, or somewhere points in between, and you could stop at the farmhouse and buy corn liquor, which is ethanol. It's ethanol before it's denatured. And when you buy this corn liquor, you put it in your car and you burn it and you go to the next farmhouse. So you could travel across country and never spend any money at the retail Standard Oil outlet. Well, John D. Rockefeller didn't like that. And there was no way to collect taxes. So lo and behold, in 1919, thereabouts, I could be a year off, but I think it's 1919, John D. Rockefeller financially and politically, and he was a powerful man, backed prohibition. And John D. was a teetotaler anyway, so he said, hey, this ethanol ain't no good because I'm not making any money from ethanol. I'm in the gasoline sales. I sell oil. And therein lies the beginning of the 100-year rule of gasoline. And then a quick fast forward, John, to 1932, Henry Ford says, he acquiesced. He said, okay, no more adjustable carburetors because the de facto gasoline, gasoline is what everybody's buying because Standard Oil's got it on every corner, and a prohibition, you cannot distribute corn liquor or ethanol, because ethanol is just corn liquor that's denatured you put a gallon of gas and poison it so you can't drink it. So the bottom line is, in 1932, John D. Rockefeller did a flip after Henry Ford says, okay, no more flex fuel cars. And at that time, John D. Rockefeller says, okay, we don't need this prohibition any longer, because it was truly the evolution, the machinery evolution, when our country was really starting to move forward and sell cars and make cars and parts and just an unbelievable evolution and financial growth of our country. But prohibition was slowing that down. And so once Henry Ford, and this was just one of the reasons, but it was one of the main reasons with regard to what your question is. So Henry Ford said, okay, no more flex fuel cars. And it wasn't 6 months later, a year later, that John D. Rockefeller says that prohibition is not good for our country. So he financially, again, and politically reversed his decision. And in 1933, the end of prohibition came along, and therein lies how gasoline has been. And if you listen to and look at the oil company and listen to the myths that are spread about ethanol, you'll see that big oil really still sells because they make a lot of profit. The bottom line is we've moved forward, we've progressed. And today, all engines run, and to end this conversation, since 2001 through today's cars, all vehicles have been proven no harm and can use up to E15, which is 15% ethanol and 85% gasoline. 888 Car Clinic is my number. Call me.
General Tire wants to put money in your pocket and stretch out your summer fun. Now, through October 3rd, purchase 4 qualifying General Tire passenger or light truck tires and receive up to $70 cash back. It's money in your So visit your local area General Tire dealer today for more details. For more information, drive over to GeneralTire.com. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
O'Reilly.
Eventually, it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction. Brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or friction? All mileage driven is the same. Friction. The quality of miles driven affects vehicles differently than the quantity. Mile for mile, vehicles driven on frequent short trips experience wear much differently and more severely than vehicles commuting for longer periods and distances. Why? Short drives don't allow vehicles to warm to full operating temperature, which is critical for vaporizing condensation that naturally occurs in engines. So, if you drive a few miles each day, your vehicle's more at risk than those who drive longer distances to work. To combat effects of condensation in oil, choose high-quality synthetic Royal Purple motor oil with its advanced Centerlic additive package. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple. Visit RoyalPurple.com and pick up Royal Purple high-performance motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Tom Bodette talking to you on a cell phone to how easy it is to make reservations in Motel 6 when you're on the road. Uh-oh, I'm just about to head into a tunnel. Anyway, just call 1-800-4-MOTEL-6. Clean, comfortable room. Lowest price of any national chain. Oh, sorry, this stupid phone's cutting out me. Man, I hate these things. I'll call you back. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you. And Accor Hotel.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, brought to you by Geico Auto Insurance.
I love you, Romeo.
I love you, Juliet.
Too bad our families hate each other.
Yeah.
How is Geico able to guarantee my claim repairs and still save me money?
Don't know.
I love you anyway.
All right, then.
We can guarantee claim repairs for as long as you own your car, and you could save 15% on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So Tony and I were talking about history lessons during the break, and we ended up talking about a Alabama blue law, which years ago, and I'm not sure what the law is today, but years ago, no business could be open on Sunday. Because that was, that's the religious day, and you're supposed to rest, and so, well, I mean, it's a great. What would the malls do today if you couldn't be open on Sunday? I don't know how we got into that conversation.
When was this? Back when you were like 45? But
and we'll take a call. Oh, today I'm proud to be announcing the winner of the $50 giveaway from O'Reilly Auto Parts. I want to send a congratulatory note. Congratulations, there you go, to Clinton Hayworth in Florida. Well, that's where I live, Florida. So, Clinton, congratulations on your $50 gift certificate from O'Reilly Auto Parts. And, folks, O'Reilly Auto Parts wants to remind you to replace your brake hardware. That's the pieces that align the pads and what have you every time you do a brake job. Why? Because a lot of times it's overlooked, and brake hardware is all those, as I said, little supporting components in and on and around the caliper and pads that help properly align the brake pads and retract them away from the rotor for smooth, reliable, quiet, and efficient brake performance. It's a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. You stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts for best brake hardware. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. And Clinton, enjoy your $50 gift card. We'll go to Isara in North Dakota. Isara from North Dakota, it's a pleasure to have you join us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Folks, the number for you to join is 888-227-2546. Isara, glad to have you in the house.
Yeah, I always listen to you, but then here comes at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I have to put my alarm.
Well,
my
you know,
goodness.
the neat thing about that, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm not sure I'd get up at 5. I'm not sure I would get up at 5 o'clock to listen to me or anyone at 5 o'clock. That's about when I go to sleep, 5 o'clock in the morning. Those are the little REM times for me. But anyway, let's talk about, I see you've got a 95 Buick LeSabre Limited, and it won't crank after driving a while. Now, talk to me. Tell me what it does you don't like.
You know, right now I put it in the storage. This year I didn't use it because last year, it's been happening almost 2 years ago. And I go to the store, buy groceries, I come out, I don't have a car.
So
I have
now
to
wait.
wait.
All right, wait. Let me ask a question, because now you've got me. I got you right where I want me. You've driven it to a store. You've been driving the car, so it's up. It's the heater's working. It's up to operating temperature, and you go in the store. You put the key in, and you turn the key. There are two things that a car must do. It must crank over. When you turn the key, it goes, and then if you're lucky, it sounds like you weren't. It must light off. It must. So when your car refused to start, did it refuse to crank over, or did it crank over but it just wouldn't light off? Did it go, or did you get nothing?
Nothing. Just dead.
And so when you got nothing, you turned the key back off and you tried it again, obviously,
Yeah,
right?
and nothing.
And nothing. Okay.
So,
how did you get past nothing?
yeah, and then I have to wait for about maybe 40 to 45 minutes, and then it start. But last year I had problem on the traffic light.
Mm-hmm.
If I go in there, and the other store, from the grocery store, to try to come home, and then I stop in the traffic light, and the police say, start. I said, doesn't go, sir.
Pull over to the curb. Yeah, right. You can't even pull away from the traffic light, much less pull over to the curb.
So, and then I just put it in the storage because.
Oh, I see. Why didn't you take it to a shop? I
took it to 3 places. I took to the Buick dealer where I bought it.
And what?
They had it about 3 days, and they put it in some machine and tested, and he said, we can't find what is wrong. So I give in, and then I went to another a small town, and somebody recommended that mechanic, so I went over there, and I left it. Again, it's a mystery in your car.
I've had a few of those mysteries. Let me just share this with you. Here's what you and I have going against the cure for your car problem. Number one, it's a 1995 model, which means it's a year earlier than when they updated the NASA computer. And I say that because the computer that's in your car knows a lot of the functions, was redesigned in 1996. Unfortunately, and that computer gives more information to the tester. So in all, it doesn't matter what make it is. It could be a Ford, Buick, Cadillac, you name it, or a Mercedes. The 96 models and later had a much better computerized system on it, so that the mechanic could test some circuits with a handheld machine. But your car had an earlier model computer that didn't have all those functions. So there's a real problem. And that's why it was hard, and it is hard to find erratic problems like that. But here's what I have 2 burning questions. One, what are you doing for transportation now if this car is not being used? And what would you like to do with the car that you're not using?
I would like to fix it because I like it.
Well, here's what
I have right now, sir. I have a 2000 Buick LeSabre Custom.
Okay. So here's what I'm. Do you have a technician, a mechanic that services your 2000 LeSabre?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what,
and he also didn't understood what was wrong.
I got you. So the car's in storage right now, which means it's in your garage and you don't use it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm paying storage.
You're paying storage?
Yeah, so I want to fix it.
Here's what I would do. Your mechanic, don't tell your mechanic I said this, because we end up with what we call some of these hanger queens. And but here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and take the car over, or have the car towed over. Talk to your mechanic that's servicing your current car. You've got a rapport with this person, I presume. I would hope that you have. Okay? So talk with, what's his name, by the way? What's his first name?
John.
Jim. Talk with Jim. Oh, say it.
J-O-S-N, John.
Oh, John. Got it. I'd like for you to talk with John and ask John, and you have a nice manner. Ask John if he would take a look at this car, and if he would just drive it. And here's what will happen. You'll get the car from the storage that you're paying into this. You're smiling, Tony. You know, you'll get the car from the storage, which you're paying for, which you could stop, and you'll get it into his garage, and he won't charge you for storage if you go in there and say, look, let me pay you for 1 hour or for 2 hours. Let's agree. I'll pay you for 2 hours. Let's just say, because you could save that money. You got the car in storage. Get it out of storage. You don't need that. Put that car in his shop, and with the agreement that you're going to pay him for a couple of hours, and in a couple of hours he'll probably get it running, because it has this erratic problem. And then ask him when he says, I still can't find a problem. I got it running, but it still has this. I never did quit for me once I got it running. Well, John, would you mind just like keeping it and driving it home for a week or so? And this has worked. I actually have found and corrected problems with cars that have been in my shop that I absolutely couldn't fix during the day because I had so many other things going on, or maybe as a noise I couldn't hear. And I would take those cars home at just the insistence of my customers, my friends, my customers, and I'd get 2 blocks from the shop after work, and I'd road tested that car for 5 miles during the day. Now you say, well, what's the difference? It's a whole different. When you leave the office, you relax, and you're driving home, and then that old car thing comes back and says, oh, there's a noise. It's just like, Sarah, if you and I went out to dinner and I'm riding in the back of your car, you don't want me with you because I'm going to hear some noise and I'm going to tell you, oh, did you know you got an axle bearing? Hey, Bobby, enough is enough. I just want to go for a ride. So I would suggest that you ask John to help you, pay him for a couple of hours, and then ask him if he would mind just driving the car, and if he wants to drive it 2 days in a week or 1 day in 2 weeks, it's okay. And he will, just by the nature of our core, want to fix things. That's what technicians do. They got to have that. I want to fix something for someone. That's where we really enjoy our profession, and I will bet you he'll find it. And one last thing before I let you go, it would be okay if he were to tell you that, from what I've experienced, there's a part that I think that could be causing this, but I can't be assured. But is it okay if I spend $100 or $200 on this part? Because I truly feel like it could be the problem, but I can't prove it because of the year and the age and what have you. And before long, yes, you will have spent $300 or $400 or $500, but you'll have your car back and you'll have it running. So if you really want to fix the car, you've got to invest your time in communication with John, and he's the one that ultimately is going to fix the problem. The best way for him to do that is not to be in a hurry and have your car on the operating table, because the operating table is for cars that come in and go out, come in and go out. Yours is kind of a side job, if you will, but by a professional. So I wish you well, and I thank you so much for calling me. So, folks, that's sort of a history lesson on what drives your automotive mechanic. And speaking of automotive, later in today's program,
Tom Cotter is going to be calling in, and Tom Cotter is the end-all, be-all car guy. I met him and had him on last week's program from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he's written a book called 50 Shades of Rust. And so a little later in the program, he's going to be calling in because he's on what he calls a barn find road trip. Back with your calls, Glenn in Pennsylvania, when I return. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Of all the races in which Americans enjoy competing, the one that we all can win is independence from foreign oil. The American ethanol industry is not only significantly stepping up the pace today, producing an estimated 13.9 gallons in 209 ethanol biorefineries in 29 states, but also to pave the way tomorrow for standalone or greenfield and advanced and cellulosic ethanol biorefineries. Scores of ethanol technology companies are already into the demonstration phase of production, proving that technology to convert everything from corn stalks to grasses to garbage to algae are viable. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm your blind spot. And my job is easy. Hide big things.
You're good.
And if you named your own price on car insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate agents.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Gluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're for more. Both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in today. A great program that we enjoy. I certainly enjoy. It's anytime I can share with you my experiences with automobiles and try to help you and to get beyond any car challenges that you have. And if you have speaking of the opposite of that, no car challenge, but you've got a shop that really has done something special for you, or someone that maybe has rescued you, and maybe at 4:30 in one Friday afternoon you had a problem and you just needed a simple fix, and rather than being said, well, it's Friday and I can't help you, and somebody says, yeah, we'll do that, and they stayed late and got you out so that you've got a car for the weekend. A good story like that. I'd love to hear from you as well. Kim will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, and that number is 888-227-2546. Again, 227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by General Tire. Anywhere is possible with a grabber line of light truck tires born from competition.
folks, visit generaltire.com for more details and before you buy your next set of tires so you can know what's available. Check out the Grabber line as well. Glenn from Pennsylvania, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you for taking my call so quick.
You're welcome, sir.
Did you see what's wrong I'm asking about?
Kim says trouble getting truck out of 4WD, four-wheel drive.
Electric.
Electric.
Yes.
Well, tell me about it. I mean...
well, it's a 3/4 ton, heavy duty, Chevy.
Right.
02, and six-point engine, and 115,000, maybe 116 right now. And when it goes in four-wheel drive, I hit the button, it's perfect. When I try to get it out, it should be almost the same way, but it don't do it. A bunch of pushes on that go out of button, and eventually it pops out.
Well, the first thing comes to my mind is the solenoid that engages the four-wheel drive. So let's simplify it. If you've got power going to the button, and then when you push the button, that sends a signal, i.e. voltage, reference voltage, to the solenoid, the actuator for the four-wheel drive. The actuator gets that signal, and of course it engages the four-wheel drive.
Yes.
So we know the button, because you can engage the four-wheel drive at will. We know that button is, well, we don't know anything, but we can safely assume that button is doing its job on the come. In other words, if you're out of four-wheel drive and you hit the button one time, you always got four-wheel drive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we know we have power from wherever the power comes from, through the wires to the button, and from the button down to the actuator.
Okay.
Now, once the actuator and the unit's in four-wheel drive, that's a mechanical device that's controlled by an electronics device. So we push the button one more time to cancel it.
Yes.
We know the button has worked before, and it's the same button. Therefore, to cancel it, there's a relay that reverses the signal and cancels it. And I can't know that relay is working, or that signal from the transmission module is working, or the whatever module controls that. But I can suspect that the actuator, which is a mechanical device, is not working correctly. So here's what I'd like you to try, and you may have already done this, Glenn.
Okay.
Let's say you're driving down the road, you push it one time, you got it in four-wheel drive, everything's cool. Yes. And now you want it out of four-wheel drive, so you push the button one more time, which cancels it, but it's still in four-wheel drive.
Yes.
Your phone's ringing.
Yes. I think somebody picked up another phone in the house.
I love your ringtone there.
I'm out in my garage. They're in the house.
Are you? I'm going to tell you about later on. Tom Carter's going to be joining us, and he's going to garages, and so you got to stay tuned. We're going to probably put him in the next hour because he's on the road, and he's looking into old garages looking for rust, for cars. And so there's a great story there that I can't wait. I have some specific questions to ask him. Tony and I have. But here's the bottom line. So we've told the unit to engage, and it did. Now we've told the unit to disengage using the same methodology, and it won't. Therefore, I think you may have an actuator or a solenoid, whatever General Motors calls that unit, that actually pulls that unit into four-wheel and out of four-wheel. So that means that you can't do anything more than push the button, with one exception. You can, once you have pushed the button off, you can accelerate and deaccelerate.
Yes.
Maybe put the car in neutral, take the load off. I mean,
yes,
you know,
I've done that.
I'm sure you have. Yeah, I'm sure you've done all that mechanical shake it and bake it and shock it and all those, and it still refuses. And I guess in closing, there's probably not anything that you and I could think of that you've done or haven't done with regard to when's this thing going to go. Oh, one question. What if you just turn the car off and pull over safe, turn the car off, put it in park, crank it up and start over again? Is it still in four-wheel drive?
I haven't tried that.
I knew I could help you.
I've even backed up with it.
Well, yeah. So here's what I want you to do.
Okay.
As long as you don't do this on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, you'll be okay, all right?
Well, that's quite a ways from me.
Okay, all right. So next time this happens, and you've done all your whatever it is that you do, and say a prayer and push your button, and it doesn't work, find a safe place, pull over, and shut it down. You can pretend to get out of the car, and the truck won't know any better, maybe, and then turn it off, and then turn it back on and drive. And if it's still in four-wheel drive, we know we suspect we've got a mechanical hard problem where it's sticky and the actuator won't deactivate. But if every time you stop the vehicle and turn the car off, turn the ignition off, and I mean all the way off, key out, back in, that solves it, then we more than likely have an electronics problem that's keeping that actuator activated. Now, having said all of that, once you get to the point that you know that what you and I are talking about is working, then you can go into a service shop and say, here's a problem I have, and here's how I can make it go away. But of course, I can't, that's not correct. I mean, the car's supposed to do that on its own. The truck's supposed to do that on its own. And what that will do is give the technician, and this is the part about my job, if you can call this a job that I love, you can give the technician this information and probably save you $150 in testing time because you already have cut to the chase. You've already gone through certain tests that are normal tests but take a technician's time that you have to pay for. So are you and I on the same page?
Yes.
Any questions?
Not yet. I'll have to give that a try.
Okay. Find a safe place to pull over.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Be safe. Thank you for your call.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome
Enjoy
very
your
much.
Show.
Thank you, Glenn. 888-227-2546. So we're talking about Tom Cotter. And with Glenn there, I was talking about a garage find. And Tom Cotter is a regular contributor to Road and Track magazine. He's the author of 2 best-selling automotive rescue books. You may have heard The Cobra in the Barn and The Hemi in the Barn. And he's also the co-author of an award-winning history of the legendary race team Holman Moody. I'm very familiar with Holman Moody. And before focusing on writing, folks, Tom built one of the most successful PR agencies in motorsports, and a client list of NASCAR and Mercedes-Benz and Ford and Dodge and what have you. There's more information. When Tom gets on, I'll go through and update and share with you. He lives in Davidson, North Carolina, and he serves as the co-chair of the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance, which is a phenomenal event that is on my bucket list. His most recent book, which I bought right here, I bought it. Yeah, I do. What? Hold it up? What? Oh, for the Watch Bobby Live. Oh, duh. Thank you, Tony. So here's his book, 50 Shades of Rust. And on the front of the cover, there's an E-type Jag, and I mean, it is a rust bucket. And covering this old E-type Jag that you can see is in the garage, I'm looking at right now, is a red satin cloth. And Tony looked at this. He said, that's Photoshop. And he didn't. Tom went out and bought this red satin drape and draped it over there. And that's what the cover looks like on his 50 Shades of Rust. We're going to talk with him. Why? Because when we all left last week the Charlotte Motor Speedway after this year's Charlotte Auto Fair, that was on a Saturday we left. On the following Monday, he started a 2-week road trip, and he's taking a photographer and he's going, well, we'll find out where he's going because I had a conversation with him last Saturday, but he doesn't have a particular map. He's just going to go out and find cars in barns. How does that work? How does he know? How does he know? That's the question I'm going to ask him, Tony. How does he know if he's driving down the highway, oh, there's an old barn, I bet there's a car in there. And we'll get an update from him. He's going to be calling in live, and I invite you to call in live as well. 888-227-2546. I also want to share with you And those of you who watch Bobby Live, I hope you saw that 50 Shades of Rust book. Our social media, our team is doing a fantastic job with social media, so I invite you to check us out, like me on Facebook. That's facebook.com/ and all these are /Bobby Likis, Likis. Like me on Facebook, follow on Twitter, and Pinterest as well, and Tumblr. And you can watch us now on YouTube, Google's YouTube, in full screen, true HD, 100% ad-free, and with the ability to rewind, pause, and add me on Google Plus straight from my YouTube channel. So we have giveaways each week. Sweepstakes. I'll share with you. I see Kim is taking a couple of calls. So 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Still time to get your call in. Here's the latest sweepstakes. And if you're a regular listener, you know we just gave away $500 in gift cards for cash cards for gasoline. That's from yours truly and the team at Car Clinic. And then a $250 Visa card, compliments of the Renewable Fuels Association, the ethanol support group, the Passport Max Radar laser detector from Escort, which is a $550 value, and a royal purple leather lambskin jacket. You don't want to miss your chance to win one of the prizes, folks. So enter at carclinicsweepstakes.com. Again, carclinicsweepstakes.com. Gasoline prices. Your price, should you choose to accept it. Your price, whether you choose or not to accept it. On a national level, the regular grade dollars per gallon, including taxes, $353.3. I don't know where they get this 3.353. I mean, when you buy gas, why is it 3.499?
Same reason you buy a car and it's $29,999.
No, but Tony, wait, a 3.353. I mean, of course, I know the answer because this is a government, fueleconomy.gov is a website. It's a fantastic website. Anyway, that's down universally across the board from coast to coast. Gasoline is cheaper than it was same time last year. It costs less than it was. And the highest in the nation, West Coast, 368 on the West Coast. So there you have it. That's gasoline prices. Let's take a call from Steve. Steve, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, this is Steve.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm fine. What can I do for you?
Love your show, buddy. Love your show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I got a 2002 Isuzu Axiom. It's a four-wheel drive SUV.
Okay.
It's got about 250,000 miles on it, and I've treated it like a baby for the last 10 years. I love the car. Recently, I started it up, and there was this howling sound in the engine compartment.
Okay.
And I drove it. I was about 60 miles from home at the time, so I drove it, and there was no problems with it. I parked it at the grocery store to get a quick something to eat. Came back, it didn't start. It turned over, but it was just a click, click, click sound.
Right.
So I left it there for a couple hours, went back in the evening, started it up, got the howling sound again, and just parked it in my driveway.
Okay, two things come to my mind. Number one, a battery, and number two, the charger that charges the battery, which is the alternator. So here's what I would do. If the battery's 3 to 5 years old, I would replace the battery.
Then did that about 3 months ago.
Okay. The next thing comes to my mind would be, and the engine house, I would remove, just this is a simple test, and Steve, follow me. Remove the drive belt that turns everything, the alternator, the water pump. Remove anything that's not connected to the crankshaft of the engine, which is the belt or belt that's got on it. But it's probably one. But remove all the belts. Crank the engine up. If the noise is gone, it means one of those driven accessories is creating the noise. I suspect it would be the alternator, but it could be an idler pulley, water pump, air conditioner, bearing, a power steering if it has power steering. So here's the bottom line. What that will do, and because I'm out of time for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, it will tell you whether or not you got internal engine, and I'll bet you the noise goes away when you take that belt off. I wish I had more time to spend with you folks. This is the end of the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil forms. For independent tests and endorsements that Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Another ethanol myth debunked. Myth is that ethanol production uses too much water. True. Since 2001, ethanol producers have lowered water requirements by 47%, and only 15% of all corn grown in the U.S. is irrigated. The rest is rain-fed. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
We secretly sprayed Febreze all over fabrics in this Milwaukee home to see if the family notices how fresh it leaves their whole house. Ooh, here they come. Let's hide.
The door's unlocked.
Smells great in here. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. Are the windows open?
Febreze eliminates stale odors and stuffiness so your whole house feels fresh air clean.
This is nice.
Shh. Someone's behind the curtains.
Febreze. The use it, the more you love it.
Hey, Todd. Where's our sub? Oh, Samantha. I've already given my sub to Sally. What? Hey, Samantha. How could you? I got a phone call. Todd. Men. This is Todd.
Get your own steak and bacon melt with mountains of juicy steak and melty cheese. Subway Steak Melts. Subway. Eat fresh.
My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know. I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, it was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was going to be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know? Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. every time I was on a bike, I'd push. And I'd always push past the limit. And now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. Creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that. It involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push, you feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does, so safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project. You gotta hit it every day.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White, for that introduction. Folks, I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Also, our 888 toll-free number. Kim will put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. I want to reach out to Mark Gaines and Jay Donovan, General Manager and Program Director at Car Clinic affiliate WTNY 790 AM in Watertown, New York. If that's your area and you're listening to this broadcast, let me hear from you at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you're not an O Rewards member yet, you can sign up online at orewards.com and start earning $5 back for every $150 you spend. Visit orewards.com and become an O'Reilly O Rewards member today. It's easy, it's free, and it's fast. Also, this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Carlson Quality Brake Hardware Kits. Replace your brake hardware, folks, every time you perform a brake job. And for you shop owners and technicians out there, replace those pieces because it makes you look good, and it also aligns properly the pads with the rotors. All that working parts makes work better and brakes better. Insist on Carlson Quality Brake Hardware Kits for certified fit and performance. Back with your calls at 888-227-2546. Whether you're a DIYer or a brake professional, be sure your brake job is complete by replacing all the brake hardware with Carlson Quality Brake Hardware. Why? A brake job is more than simply and pads. Fact is, when you also replace springs, clips, and other hardware parts that hold all brake components in place, your brakes will perform better and last longer. It's a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. Invest in the best in Carlson Quality Brake Hardware Kits with every brake job.
My car's a sauna. What's with this air conditioning?
You need an AC Pro.
Know any?
Yeah, you.
You got me confused with somebody else.
You're a pro with new do-it-yourself AC Pro, the 10-minute solution.
But
You know where to find the hood?
That thing up front?
Exactly. AC Pro's easy, fast, and saves you money. You'll have your car's AC blowing cold air in minutes.
I did it! It's like a freezer in here.
Be a pro with new AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
Got a sweater?
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Vehicle Maintenance Spotlight, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Did you know batteries that were no problem at 80 degrees produce only 50% power at 0 degrees? Bad timing, since engines are harder to start in winter and call for extra battery power. So look for these ratings when cold, cranking amps, and reserve capacity. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a wide selection of quality batteries. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts every day.
O'Reilly. Eventually it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Nothing can wreck an evening like getting busted for not listening. And because at Molson we've been helping you make friends since 1786, here's a practice exercise to help you focus on her, even in a distracting bar. Listen closely, you will be quizzed.
My cousin Valerie had a baby last week.
He tries the right side. He breaks the tackle. Oh!
He's 7 pounds, 2 ounces. So cute. Blue eyes, red hair. He was a breech baby, so
I just want a guy to give me a good time all night long. No strings attached.
For her. She was in labor for 17 hours.
Dudes, who wants some Molson?
I hope. They named him Aiden. I like it. Masculine.
Oh, is my thong showing again?
Probably because they met in London.
Okay, what was her cousin's name, baby's weight, sex, eye color, hair, time in labor? If you Aiden, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, boy, blue, red, 17 hours, congratulations. If you didn't, keep practicing. With an easy drinking Molson, of course. Molson, making friends since 1786. Imported from Canada by Molson USA, LLC, Golden, Colorado.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Delighted to have you join us today. As I mentioned earlier in the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, we're going to be talking with Tom Cotter, who is live on the road. This is really, really way cool, folks. It's unbelievable. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Escort and all the new Passport and Passport Max 2. And the Max 2 is a way cool unit, has Wi-Fi, and that's what's really important because they are social networking for the road on your phone app that will tell you if someone that's in the cloud, in the social cloud as well, maybe 30 miles or 100 miles, has seen a radar in that area, it will report for you. You can learn more at escortradar.com. Let me give you an overview of Tom Cotter. He's a regular contributor to Road and Track. He's the author of 2 best-selling automotive rescue books, The Cobra in the Barn and The Hemi in the Barn. That thing got a Hemi in it, so obviously he can tell you that. He's also the co-author of an award-winning history of the legendary race team Hallman and Moody. I personally have personal connections with Hallman and Moody way back when. Before focusing on writing, Cotter built one of the most successful PR agencies in motorsports with a client list that included NASCAR, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, Dodge, Pontiac, BMW, and Speed Channel. He currently serves as co-chairman of the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegant and lives in Davidson, North Carolina. His most recent book, as I mentioned earlier, that I bought last week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Auto Fair, is 50 Shades of Rust. And it captures 101 barn-find tales that you just have to see for yourself. I already have my copy, so go get one for yourself today. And what we're doing now is we actually have Tom Cotter on the line, who is on a barn-find road trip. Tom, with that being said, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, good talking to you again. I haven't talked to you in a week now, and we're on our trip in our 1939 Ford Woody wagon, and we're in Virginia. We're in Roanoke right now, and we've already had some good luck. Yesterday, we met a guy in outside of Pulaski, Virginia, that had 16 1963 Ford Galaxies. He had 26 1964 Ford Galaxies, 3 1965 Ford Galaxies, an old race car, a 37 Ford that he ran back in the 50s and 60s, a whole field full of cars and great stories. His name was Snowball Bishop. You couldn't make up a name like that. And what a great man.
Well, a question, a Snowball Bishop, no, you couldn't make that up. And folks, what Tom is doing is, and as I understand, you kind of, fill me in on the loose ends here. You're in a car and you're on the road on a barn find road trip. So you're actually looking at barns as you drive down the road, and you have this sixth sense that tells you whether or not you can find a car, an old classic car, in that garage. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. In fact, we peeked in a window today of an old, and I saw a whole bunch of old British cars. So we're trying to get a hold of the owner here in Roanoke to find out what the story is of those old British cars. Yeah, we're riding down the road. We're talking to people. We've already been 2 cruise-ins, got some leads here and there. Going to go check out a lead right now of a 1969 Dodge Super B. And then we're just getting another guy here who's telling us about a neighbor of his that's got a whole backyard full of cars. So, and then we're going to head back out to the country. Right now we're kind of in the city, and then we're going to head into the country. But we're going to end up in 2 weeks at Hershey for the big AACA meet. So we're going to be driving for 2 weeks.
So Tom, let me just imagine this. You're driving down the road. You stop at Joe's Diner in the middle of nowhere in town, and you start up a conversation with a total stranger, and you say, I'm looking for old cars. And is that maybe a scenario where you get leads? How does this work?
Yeah, kind of. The idea is we're driving this 1939 Ford Woody wagon, which it's a really beautiful car. I've owned it since I'm 15, and it was a barn find. I found it when I was 15 years old and bought it. And it's all, modernized now with LS1 Corvette motor and air conditioning. But people come over and look at this car, and that starts conversations. And so this car is our calling card. It rather than have a rental car or some kind of late model SUV.
Oh, yeah.
This car starts conversations. So I park it in the parking lot, and people come over and start talking, and that's how the conversations go. Or we just ride down the road and look in people's driveways and in the garages and backyards and knock on doors.
Okay.
So either way.
Okay. So Tony Gregory, who is our producer, and I were sharing conversation in the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic and during the break. And so we had this burning question. Then Tony, shall you ask, or would you like? I'll ask. Okay. So we thought, well, okay, Tom's driving down the road. He just feels that in this garage out here, he sees something in the driveway that's indicative of a classic car, and he drives up. Anybody ever pull a shotgun and say, "What are you doing on my property?"
Not yet. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I heard about a guy with a bunch of old Pontiac GTOs in his yard, and I hear he's a little bit crazy. So we're going to visit him. I think that this car that I'm driving, the Woody, will soften anything like that. If we drove up in a big sedan, I think we might get killed. But in a car like this, people can't be angry, at you. So.
Yeah. What was your first car? Way back.
This car. I'm sitting in.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, no, you're very. That was your very.
No, I was 15 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So you were in the classics. You were in the classics before classics were cool.
Yeah, I bought this 1969. It's a 39, so it was 30 years old. I bought it when I was let me see. I was a sophomore, junior in high school, sophomore, and then I also have a 1953 Ford station wagon I bought when I was a senior in high school. I bought it for $85. And that one is $85. The guy wanted $100 for it, and I didn't have $100, so I talked him down $15. Thought I was a hero, and I still have that car. I bought it in '72, and here it is, 43 years later almost, and I still have it.
How many cars do you currently have in your classic car garage?
I don't know, but I want to get down to 10. And so I've probably got 10 or 15 to go to get down to 10.
I hear you.
I'm selling cars. I've got a couple of Woodies for sale, and I've got a couple of Shelby Mustangs for sale. I don't need that many cars,
Well, I hear you. We're talking with
Tom.
So
this Barnes Find road trip I'm on, I'm not looking to buy anything. I'm just looking to document cars that are still out there.
Oh. Okay, so you feel, well, obviously you know there are. Let's back up. Of all of the cars that everybody, and it's a dream for classic car collectors and car guys that are truly looking for classic automobiles to find in that barn. And I'm looking here on page 111. It says, folks, and this is about the chicken poop convertible, and I want you to just share that little story on page 111 of your 50 Shades of Rust book that you just finished. That is fantastic. It's a dream or a goal or all the above to find a classic car that's all covered up. How do you give me an experience of when that happened? And I'm looking at the chicken poop convertible. Where'd you find that car?
Well, I didn't find it. That was found by Mark Elliott, a friend of mine down. He lives in Tampa, and that car was I think in Iowa or Nebraska or something like that. But he had it as a college student. He only paid like $200 for it, and beat the tar out of it while he was a college student, and he parked it in his uncle's chicken coop, I think, or something. And I don't know if the chicken poop preserved the metal or deteriorated it, but whatever it did, it insulated it, I guess. Well. And so there was a fair amount of cleanup to do on that car.
Just quickly, your 50 Shades of Rust book. On the front cover, folks, there's a picture of an E-type Jag that has some serious rust and some pieces missing and a bumper, and looks like there's no radiator in it. And then there's this big red drape over it. And Tony looked at it and he says, that looks like a Photoshop. I said, no, Tom bought that. So you did buy that drape and drape it over this picture, over this car, right?
Yeah, it's red satin. And, the whole idea of 50 Shades of Gray, 50 Shades of Rust, we wanted to make a guy's version of a sexy-looking cover shot. So we got this red satin.
Got it.
And put it on a rusty car. And so women are so attracted to the title and the front cover. I think it's going to be a big Christmas book for women to buy their husbands.
As a matter of fact, my wife, when she saw the book when I came back from last week's trip in Charlotte, she says 50 Shades of Rust. And the first thing out of her mouth, 50 Shades of Gray. And
That's right.
And then we had the conversation. Where can folks buy the book? Where's it available? And is it available electronically?
I'm not sure about it. Yeah, it is available electronically. You can get it at Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
I've been to a number of small bookstores that have it. Little bookstores in Traverse City, Michigan, and Millerton, New York. You can get it on motorbooks.com. You can get it on Amazon. You can buy them through me, and I'll sign them. You can buy them. I think Amazon's got a Kindle version of it as well.
Great, yeah. I have both Kindle. Of course, I have yours. That I bought. That's signed by you. In the interest of time, of which we're out, I really thank you and I wish you all the success in the world. I look forward to seeing you again. And you've got another week to go. Thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Connect. Tom Cotter.
Thank you.
The classic car guy. Thank you, Tom. How cool is that? I'll be back with more car talk. Don't go away. This Tire Maintenance Minute is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible with a grabber line of light truck tires, born from competition. 2 important measures of a tire's strength: ply rating and load. Though today's tires are made of 1 or 2 layers of steel ply with radial construction, ply rating refers to the equivalent of the number of cotton layers, the original material used to strengthen tires, that would be required to deliver the same strength. Load range indicates the maximum weight that a tire can withstand horizontally. Installing tires with a lower ply rating and load range than specified by the vehicle manufacturer can present serious safety issues. Drive to GeneralTire.com to learn more about the grabber line of light truck tires. And while you're there, check out the Tire Stacks and Greenbacks promotion, where you can get up to $70 cash back with a purchase of 4 General tires. Visit General Tire for more details.
If your car's air conditioning isn't blowing cold air,
it isn't,
then you need an AC Pro.
Is there one around here?
Yeah, you.
Me? But I can't.
New do-it-yourself AC Pro is the 10-minute cold air solution. It's fast, easy, and saves you money. With AC Pro, you'll have cold air blowing again in just minutes.
Wow, it's freezing in here, and I did it myself.
See? You are an AC Pro.
Yes, I am.
New AC Pro, the 10-minute do-it-yourself auto AC cold air solution.
Ordinary, extraordinary, ultimate. Now you can get the ultimate in performance and protection with the ultimate oil change. Royal Purple high-performance motor oil with a Royal Purple high-performance filter. Royal Purple engineered a long-life filter. Superior filtration maximizes flowability and has more than twice the burst strength of conventional filters. So take it to the limit. Royal Purple high-performance motor oil and filter. Find a retailer near you at royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm your tailgate grill. Your buddy was in such a rush to get into the game, he didn't quite put me out. I see you bought the industrial-sized bottle of lighter fluid. Smart. And if you got cut rate insurance, you could be paying for this. So get an Allstate agent and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere. Are you in good hands?
In 50 feet, turn left. Are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to today's broadcast, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house. The phones are lit up, so let's go to Josh. And we just spoke with, if you heard, Tom Cotter, who obviously I have a great connection with, and I bought his book, 50 Shades of Rust, and it's really way cool. It's some of the, I won't go through the pages with you or any of them except to tell you that there's really some neat cars in here that you never know what you find. And if you find an old car in a garage somewhere that, and you're not sure what it is, it's best not to even uncover it. Just leave it dirty, and then call Tom Cotter or call me, and we'll get Tom Cotter on the phone. It's a great honor to talk with him. He knows so much about classic cars. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, by the way, is brought to you in part by General Tire and the all-new Ultimax RT43. It's a smarter tire for a smarter driver. Visit GeneralTire.com for more details on the new Ultimax RT43 by General Tire. Josh, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, thanks. I just heard you had Tom on, and I couldn't help but want to share a story that we still have a 36 Plymouth in a shed where my grandparents drove when they were too young for me to remember or even to know, but I couldn't help but want to share this and then possibly even speak to Tom, but he had to do things. But anyway, I was kind of curious in your opinion, How rare do you think a 36 Plymouth with suicide doors or reverse hinge doors on the back doors is?
You know, Josh, he would be the man that would answer that question, because I had dozens of questions, and because we have so many phones, I only kept him on the line, and he is on the road. But definitely, he would be the man to reach out to, and Tom Cotter. You can go to Google and Google Tom, or check out his book on Amazon. But specifically, the value, you know, just like we see on Velocity, what's my car worth? You know, and I've got an 80 model YSOC or VSOC Porsche that's one of 406. And the burning question I've had the car since 1986, and it's a classic. I don't drive it. It's drop dead gorgeous, totally beautifully restored. And I have this, what's my car worth? So your question is universal within the industry everywhere that I've ever heard. And you never know. I guess it would be, and maybe that's not a fair thing to say, but it's true. It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay on a given point. I know that it's worth more in raw, classic, old, rusty condition than it would be after a fresh paint job that was less than perfect. And when I say perfect, you know, you can't paint a rust bucket until you redo the rust bucket. And now you spent, and for the life of me, for Josh, I don't know how. And I watch, you know, some of the car auctions. I don't know how those people spend what has to be more than $100,000 to make a retro rod that sells for $35,000 across Mecum or Jackson, Barrett Jackson. I mean, you've seen that. Those cars, you can buy a whale of a deal, especially if you go in, from what I've seen, the first day of the auction, and they've got the one load of cars, and the second day, and then the last 2 days of the real, you know, where you get the sharks and the mass feeding frenzy, where they start bringing a lot of money. But I have seen, Josh, I saw a car go across the blocks the other day for, I don't know, it was $38,000. And I bet you that car cost $150,000 to restore. And I guess, you know, as I restored mine, I don't count my time in it. So you don't count the time, but still there's parts, there's paint, there's upholstery, there's engines. The car that Tom was driving, as you heard, is a Woody. Of course, he's got all the comforts of the latest technology, you know, with a new LS engine and air conditioning. You heard that, obviously. So it's an interesting profession that he's chosen, and he is, you know, as I said, he's co-chairman of the Amelia Island and so he's got to be a way cool guy, and he's got a great gig going there for sure. Anyway, thanks for your call, and I wish I could have put you on with him, but I just, you know, he was on the road, so I had to let him go. But
that's just fine. I just go ahead.
Okay, all right, my friend. Thank you for your call, and stay well.
Take care.
Thank you. You too. We'll take a call. Let's go from Kansas to Washington. Let's go to Washington. John, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome, sir.
I have an 03 Passat that's got just over 60,000 miles on it. As you can tell, I don't drive much. It's been babied.
Right.
But at about 35,000 miles or so, I noticed, I had noticed for a while what felt like missing. And the dealer said it was the torque converter locking and unlocking. And I had an extended warranty, so they replaced it under that. And then a little over a year later, it was only 11,000 miles. It was, you know, or 10,000 miles.
Right.
Started doing it again. And I took it back in, and they said, well, we replaced it under extended warranty because we know how particular you are, but, you know, it's a $2,500 bill to replace the torque converter. And they said, I wouldn't bother to do it because you're not really going to get stranded. You're not going to have a problem. But it's such a nuisance because all the time between about 35 and 45 miles an hour, you know, in the neighborhood of 1,500 RPM, to keep locking and unlocking, and it feels like the car is missing. Is there some sort of an external controller, or is there something they don't know about that I can do to fix it?
I was just thinking the same thing. While you were doing that, I said, you know, that they really are shooting straight with you. And in other words, when it was on the nickel, somebody else's nickel, the easiest way was to go ahead and replace it. Now that it's on your nickel, I mean, they were straight with you. Here's the challenge, and I, like you, I couldn't stand to drive it as well. So from my experience and from what I truly enjoy doing, besides personalizing my automobiles, I love to modify cars. And when computers started to take over, it was a real downer for me and a lot of technicians at that time, because the things that we used to do to make an engine run better, you couldn't do any longer because it was illegal. You know, you couldn't take the smog systems off, you couldn't delete them, and now that's part of the design. And if you take something off, not only is it illegal, but the car doesn't run correctly. So somewhere in between, and you've got an 03 model, which is a later model car, somewhere in between what has changed to refreshen the technician's ability or to enable the technician to do more. And I'll tell you what that is, John. It's called reprogramming. Now, here's the trick. Who can reprogram the transmission control module in your Passat? There's a company that's, I think, a German company. It's called Alien Tech. And you can Google it. I've never connected with them, mainly because they didn't include the kind of car that I was driving, but they make software. There's another company too, but I don't know the name of that company, but they're in California. Alien Tech, you know, is a German company, but there's a company in California that offers a reprogram for any car and every car, because, and they're located in California. And, you know, California is really the car mecca. You know, Detroit's maybe the motor city, but California is the car mecca. So there's so many people there with so much income and so many specialty cars. If somebody wanted the transmission to shift at 30 miles an hour that normally shifts at 20, somebody would make it happen. Now, I'm not saying to go out and spend a fortune, but if I were you, I would Google reprogram ECUs or reprogram capabilities, and if you give me a week, I should be able to find the name of that company. But I will tell you, what needs to be done is the input from what's called a load sensor, map sensor, that measures the load of the engine versus the speed of the car and the RPM of the engine. You're in that little tender zone. You're in that halfway in between zone where if you step on the accelerator just a little bit, it kicks down or kicks out of overdrive. And if you let off, it kicks into overdrive. Not that you're doing that, but the transmission is so sensitive, or the sensors are so sensitive, and it all goes back to one thing, John, and that's the program, the mapping of the vehicle as set by VW. Now, can you go around that? There's somebody that can go around that. It won't be I bet there's not 3 shops in the States that could do that, but I guarantee you there's a program that you can buy for that car. Unfortunately, this is because I want to modify my car, and I've recently bought a Tata car. It's a Jaguar, and I want to modify the shift timing on that vehicle. But it's $1,200, and you know, and by all rights, I just said, well, why would I spend $1,200 just because? And I don't know that it works. But anyway, I said all that to say that yes, you can do something, but you can't do it any other way than the professional way, because you will create more problems than you have now, and you'll end up with other problems that are related. So I just share that with you. Any questions?
Yeah, so what's involved in reprogramming that?
Well, a technician.
How would I get somebody to do that?
A technician uses a pass-through device, which is there's a gatekeeper in your car, and that gatekeeper shields all of the security from the outside world. And in order to get through that gate, you'll have to have a shop that is authorized. And in the interest of time, I'll just share this with you. We had a Porsche that we needed to reprogram. We as a shop, we're in the business, we had to go through Porsche in Germany. I personally, and I've been in the business 43 years, had to give Porsche my driver's license number and get authorized before they would sell to me the gate key, so to speak, electronic gate key. And we have that. So where could you find someone? That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my tongue. I don't know the name of a shop. You're in Washington, but you're on. So
yeah, right across the river from Portland.
Yeah,
Vancouver, Washington.
You know what I would do? Here, let me go. Here's a quick find. Go to asashop.org. You've heard me mention those at that organization.
asashop.org.
asashop.org, Automotive Service Association, and then call and say who modifies cars and who of your cadre of friends modifies cars or is capable of doing that. And then let me put you back on, Tony. Put John back on hold, and we'll give you my email address, and I'll help you that way. When I come back, folks, we're going to take all your calls. Don't go away.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. The 3-second rule. No, not about food that drops on the floor, but safe driving tip. Choose a fixed point that's even with the car in front of you. If you point before counting to 3, you're driving too close and need to fall back. Visit escortradar.com to learn about the all-new Passport Max 2, both featuring built-in Bluetooth connectivity. Don't just drive, drive smarter. Escort.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
This is Willie Works.
Hello.
Back to answer all your laundry questions, like how to get out those tough embeds.
Like when your husband comes back from the plant. Woo! Smelling like he brought the whole place home.
Or when one of the cows escapes and you have to wrestle it to the ground.
Uh-huh.
What? I think that's a good one.
They're all good ones, and I have the solution. Febreze for the wash. Full with your detergent and odors disappear.
Wow! 1 capful is all it takes?
Yep, Febreze for the wash. 1 cap, 1 wash.
And say goodbye to odors.
Another great place to use Visa.
Your heart pounds. Your body sweats. Whatever you do, don't look down. Okay, you can look. Because this is the Boulder Rock Club, the largest indoor climbing club in Colorado, where 10,000 square feet of scalable walls give you all the thrills of a Rocky Mountain climb. So bring your sense of adventure and your Visa card, because the Boulder Rock Club will take you to the top, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website. A breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now, Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Delighted to have you join me today. It's a fantastic program. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, I said, well, how are we going to follow last week's remote broadcast from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Charlotte Auto Fair? And I will tell you, here we go again. We've done it again. Today is a fantastic program. I have callers that we're going to go to that have been in the queue and holding, and I appreciate your patience. I want to share with you just one personal item. Number one, rarely do we see someone in the, or some company in the automotive industry to reinvent the wheel. And no, we can't reinvent the wheel, but literally, you can. It's just one of those things. But General Tire has, I don't know who at General Tire or what group at General Tire, but hats off, because here's what they've come up with that I think you should know about because of the safety aspects and because it's so easy for you to do without having to ask someone, go to a local service shop and ask about your tires. The Ultimax RT43 Touring All-Season Tire has an exclusive monitoring technology built in the tire. And it's called, one of those technologies, RTM. And get this, folks, RTM stands for Replacement Tire Monitor. And the RTM appears, Replacement Tire Monitor, appears as etched in the center tread of the tire, in the very center. So imagine this, Replacement Tire Monitor, but the letters which are etched into the tire are at different levels. So when that tire wears down, replacement, the mint goes away and it's replaced. The tire is still there, and the monitor is also in shallower grooves or etchings, and it goes away. So replacement tire monitor transforms into replaced tire. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and it is absolutely something that you can look at your tire and tell you know when it's time to replace the tire. And then to top that off, the worst thing that can happen when you put a new set of tires on is to have premature early wear, because once you wear a tire in a crooked fashion, unless you put it on the rear, even if you align the correct alignment, it's going to continue to wear the same way, which is crooked because it started out in its first early life the wrong way. So here comes General Tire with VAI. It's a Visual Alignment Indicator, VAI. And folks, it's made up of 2 shallow sipes and 1 deep sipe that show early tire wear. Now, we're talking about the first few thousand miles. So should your vehicle have a misalignment condition, you'll actually see the wear almost immediately, so you know to correct it before it's too late, before you have that odd wear. And because the letters, again, are etched onto and into the tread, the outside and the inside of the 2 treads. And so you can see early on when those little wear monitors are worn, so you can immediately know, wait a minute, this doesn't look like this side. I need an alignment. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's the Ultimax RT43 General Tire. Go to generaltire.com for more information. And let me know what you think about those tires. What a fantastic idea. What will they come up with next? And what are we going to do next? Janice from South Carolina, thanks for holding it. And Fred, I'm coming to you next because you've been there for a while. Janice, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself?
That's good. I'm trying. I have an 06 Ford 3-star van.
Sorry about
and I took it in to get work done, and when I got it back, the battery light was on. So he it, and he got a code for a generator field terminal circuit low, but he checked it and he said the alternator's fine and the battery's fine. So I took it. He said you could probably drive it like that. I took it and I thought, well, I'll check an alternator shop. So I checked it with an alternator shop, and he said, it's your battery. It needs to be replaced. So the battery's still under warranty. So I went up to Ford, and they checked it, and they said the battery's fine, and the alternator's fine. So I don't know what to do.
Gosh, sounds like here's what we do, and so I can only share with you what we do. With the car, of course, all the parts on the car running, I mean, there are a lot of, maybe not you, but there are car tinkerers that will, if they've got an alternator problem or a battery, they go get a battery and they put it in the car. I mean, even if it's not dead, they'll jump start. They go get a battery and put it in the car, which means no one's tested the electrical circuits, or they'll go get an alternator and put an alternator in the car next, and nobody's tested the circuits with everything in place. So the car needs to really be retested with everything in place. And here's what needs to be done first. The battery cables I'm sure they're okay. I'm sure they've been off, but they need to be rechecked. the battery cables, because everything literally starts at the battery. No pun intended, but that's the electrical flow. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. And Janice, here's the real challenge. If an alternator or a parasitic draw, and a parasitic draw would be a cell phone that's left in, or some other device, or some draw in the car. Maybe there's one of the electrical components of the car that is still on, and it doesn't mean that there's a light on that you see, but there's a parasitic draw.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. All right, fine. Then the first thing that needs to be done is the battery needs to be fully charged, and it will take 3 to 4 hours amps to properly charge that battery, 10 to 15 amps, because the battery has to get it It's like antibiotics. You know, a doctor gives you 10 days. So you take the antibiotics for 2 or 3 better, and you put the rest on the shelf. That is not proper, and you know that. But in a battery, you can charge a battery for 5 minutes, and it'll start the car. And you say, "Oh, I'm okay now." You have to restore the health of the battery and the storage of the battery and the stability of the battery, and that takes 3 to 4 hours at 10 to 15 amps, and you don't want to force it at higher amperage, just because that shortens the life of the battery, or it could shorten the life of the battery. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that the battery has been charged no less than 3 hours with a 10 amp charger, and that's like a trickle charger, and a little more than a trickle, but 10 amps. Okay, and now we've got a healthy battery. Then I want to shop to perform what we call an AVI, alternator voltage regulator test, and we just named it that, but that's what the industry calls it. And that test, and then if the car passes that test, I want someone to check for a parasitic draw, and that's where the ASE certified technician comes in, because you're going to have someone. And you said the Ford dealers should definitely be able to check this car out for you. But first,
well, I was going to say he wanted. He said I could take it into the shop and have them check it for. They would charge $100 to check it, and I thought, well, the guy was going to put a battery in for $100. You know, I could get a new battery.
But you still have the problem.
Go ahead and put a new battery in it.
Yes, ma'am. But you still have the problem.
Well, I was going to say, see if that was going to fix the problem. A new battery. You know.
Well, I'm sorry. I had just assumed that you'd ought to replace the battery.
No, the battery. No, because Ford told me no, it wasn't the battery. He said it was a little low, but it's not the battery.
Well, if it's a little low, it's not right. I mean, it's like, I mean, you go to a doctor and you say, I got chest pains. Well, let's do open heart surgery. Wait. Can we do stress tests first? Maybe I can lose a few pounds. Maybe I can,
Oh, I understand. I understand.
Well,
I just didn't know all this to argue with him about it.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have to, Janice. You shouldn't. I'm glad you called me. And here's the point there in South Carolina. Get that battery charged 100%. And if the battery's 4 years old, replace it.
It's 3, yeah. It's 3, yeah.
Well, you're walking that fine line there, and so a battery is a good place to start. And just go to O'Reilly Auto Parts and buy a battery. And I would suggest that you replace the battery that's in your car with the largest battery that will fit the actual box itself, because you get a bigger bang for the buck. So that's what I recommend you do. Hey, thanks for calling. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. And we did lose our gentleman, and I apologize. I know you were on the line for some time holding. So you called Fred. I do apologize to Fred. We just had so many calls backed up, and we had Tom Cotter on. So let's move forward. And Fred, we will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. Jeff from Nebraska, you've held us a long time as well, and I apologize to you, but it's where we are. We just got them stacked up today. So you're on the air. Jeff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. No, we got to wait. Jeff, put him back on hold, Tony. He may be away from the phone because it's been Ray. Let's go to New York from Nebraska. Ray, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby. Love your show.
Thank you.
Hey, question. 07 Ford Fusion. Coils 1, 2, and 3. The computer will ground them and hold the ground and burn them eventually burning the computer out on the 3.0s. We're just wondering, got lots of things, but wondering what's happening.
Well, the computer can only do what the crank sensor, with regard to the ignition coil firing, what the crank sensor tells it to do. So you mentioned the coil, which is a receiver of signal from the ECM. You mentioned the ECM, which is a receiver of the signal from the crank sensor. So if you had a crank sensor that was sending a continuous signal, which is kind of, I don't know that I've ever heard of a crank sensor doing that, but it's electronic, so I'm open for anything. And so if you had a crank sensor that was shorted internally, and shorted, you could take that two ways. Normally when you think of shorted, you think of bzz, shorting a hot wire to ground and it sparks, or closed, which means that the contacts in that, or the signal in that, is closed all the time. That sends a signal to the computer and closes the computer's, and makes the computer think that it's time to trigger the coil. And so the computer says, I'm triggering the coil, but it should be a flash of as the engine cranks. Every time the crank goes by, that it gives a signal to the crank sensor. And so you get flash, 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 and that's when it sparks, 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 sparks. And it goes faster and faster with RPM. And it goes so fast, it gets into, well, who's to say that the crank sensor's not stuck on a minute load here? And if it is, it's telling the computer. I've never seen, I've seen computers that wouldn't work because they didn't get a signal from, or signal back from the crank sensor. So I said all that to tell you and explain to you that that's the circuit that has to be tested. And it sounds to me like you've got a defective ECM, because and coils go out all the time, and so you replace those. Have you replaced the coils?
Well, Ford has a TSB.
Okay.
6 coils, 6 wires, boots, and a computer.
Right. And a computer?
And a computer.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you why.
Well,
that's the problem. This gets up around 90,000 miles. We check the spark plugs. The gap's supposed to be 50, and it's around 85. And we kind of figured that the coil's having a hard time pushing the spark, so it overheats and feeds back.
I agree. I have seen that. Yeah, especially like when technicians would at one time, and we don't do this any longer, pull a wire off a plug to check that cylinder, and that means you've got maximum voltage, and that will actually take a less than healthy, 100% healthy coil and cause it to short within it internally, because there's so much, over 100,000 volts, and it has to go somewhere. So I agree with you. I don't know. What's your question to me?
Your question is, what's actually happening besides the coils? The coils are ramping up.
Well, if Ford has a TSB on it, doesn't that TSB explain it?
It doesn't explain why. They just say parts cannon.
Question. I wish I could answer that. Ford Motor Company, it would be the one that would answer that.
Yeah,
that's really, Ray, I'm going to put you back over, and Tony, Kim will get your email, and I want you to send me that TSB, because I have all those TSBs anyway, and then I'll know more, and we can talk about it on the future show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the next step. Jeff from Nebraska, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hey, sorry about the issue ahead earlier.
Yeah, really. No problem. What can I do for you?
Well, I got a 79 GMC Caballero. It's the El Camino. Every once in a while, this is a very intermittent problem that I have. Anywhere between 54 degrees and 34, somewhere in there, and the humidity. About 3 times a year, it won't start. It acts like it has no spark.
Replace the pole piece in a distributor.
The pole piece, I've gone through. I've replaced cap rotor.
And pole
everything.
Piece? And pole piece?
Yep.
You had to pull the distributor shaft out, right?
Oh, that piece. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So you haven't replaced everything. Okay, replace the pole piece in the distributor.
Okay.
I mean, it is. I hope you can find one. If not, some ignition company, classic ignition company, will sell you a distributor. But the bottom line is, don't even check it. Just find a pole piece if you can for the distributor, and you have to pull the distributor. You have to take the pin out of the gear, and you have to take it apart and replace the pole piece. It's not a big deal, but that's a common killer. And there's the music for this week's program that says, we're 50 Shades of Time, or as Tom Cotter would say, 50 Shades of Rust. Check his book out at Amazon. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. The corn as food versus fuel duel is emotional, not factual. Fact is that ethanol is produced from field corn for livestock, not sweet corn for humans. And ethanol production from field corn utilizes only the starch. Remaining vitamins, protein, and fiber are sold as livestock feed. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Go ahead, hit me. Yeah, come on, in the face. I need to be prepared.
Oh, sending in the dogs.
Okay, bring it on. Oh, man. Oh, if I can handle this. Oh, I can handle 10 intruders. Oh.
Dude, just change the locks.
Yeah.
Come on into Ace Hardware to find all kinds of home safety products. Everything from locks and keys to fire extinguishers and smoke detectors. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Look to your Ace Circular for special savings.